You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Now remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore. And we are delighted, especially today. We always have remarkable people on the show. This is a person that I'm remarking on because I know him personally since 1980, been following him for decades. And he's not just a legend because he's a living legend and he makes stuff happen, all good. And that's why you're here. You tuned in for one reason and one reason only. It's the best reason in the whole world because you care the most in the entire world about you. Y-O-U. And that's great, by the way, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony. You create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And the reality of life is that on this show, we discuss the three fundamentals of life. And when you use these three fundamentals of life, you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? Everybody. So remember, the three fundamentals are, number one, life. Your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number two happens. Now, in this case, a good number two, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example. Right now, you are being joined by over 398,613 people around the world through this medium called the internet. And if you ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, it has to do with the internet. Now, factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? W-H-A-T-A. And of course, whenever you hear the opening bars of this amazing song, What a Wonderful World, we tip our hat and say a thank you to Satchmo, Louis Armstrong. What do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you could ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right, seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I have to tell you, I am deeply honored to say that I do podcasts, webinars regularly, talking to hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people every week. I also, thank God, do in-person events. Recently, we did something with 1,127 people in the audience. I'm telling the story about Barry Shore. I'm talking about seeing miracles in life every day. And some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been out for hours where I haven't seen any miracles. And I ask them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water to drink, you have food to eat, you have a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. What's the proof? Simple proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching, you're listening, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live life to the full, to live exuberantly. Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed, my neck down. Not an automobile accident, not a spinal injury, a rare disease, which I never heard of the day before, takes over my body and renders me what's called a quadriplegic. Nothing in the body moves. I can only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't move. 4 years in a wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, my hips, my ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. I help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. All because of the one word. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. But I got to tell you quickly, my 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago and she says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile Smiel? I thought about it. Smile sounds the same. Why not? I asked her how come. Because she says then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world that she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a wonderful acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. We're going to do a lot of rethinking today in what we call a shift in perspective. Now, it's one of the books that I wrote just at the beginning of 2024, and the title is Oh Shift. Now, you're going to be effing careful with your shift, with your F's, or the other stuff happens. A lot of people, I've been working with people for more than 4.5 decades. And I can tell you, I work with very high achievers. When they first come to me, they drop the F and shift, and the other stuff happens. You got to be careful. You want to just cause a little shift in perspective, and now a whole world opens up. And then you can internalize, utilize, and leverage
You're back. Okay. Well, I don't know what happened.
Wait a minute. That was so interesting. So here's a question, Jay. See, we're professionals, right? So we don't let anything,
sure. We're
anything
seamless. We are seamless, Barry.
By the way, were you loving the introduction?
I was actually uplifted by your zeal and your passion, and you're very articulate. I got a kick out of it. I was ready to march, man. I was going to walk up the hill to the pinnacle.
Okay, so we're recording now.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, we're going to keep going. I'll ask my people to just spice
I don't care. I'm going to tell you a funny story if we're recording.
Yes.
Many years ago, I was doing an interview with a reasonably significant radio station, and the guy was home doing it from home. And about 20 minutes in, he loses his internet. And so I had to interview myself and answer for the remaining 45 minutes. It was quite fun.
Some people would call that a form of masturbation, but I won't mention that.
It was actually an interesting experience. But yeah, I'm here for you. I'm here for your people.
Okay, so let's plow ahead and really just continue to rock and roll. So I think I remember where we left off. I was about to tell you, everybody, that you can now internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words that you'll ever learn and use for your life. And these words are: choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine the path of your life and your trajectory. So I just want to warn everybody in advance that before we bring on our amazing guest, his name is Jay Abraham. Yes, I'm titillating you and giving you, wow, Jay Abraham. Yes. Before we bring on Jay Abraham, I'm going to warn everybody that is new to the show. And thank God you're always bringing your family and friends. We're now over 420,000 listeners right now. And God willing, by the end of the summer, we'll have over 500,000. That I do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word, and I do it for the shock value, and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, play, pray, free, gift, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, yes, F-U, capital N, capital N. So I know right away some people raise their hands and say, hey, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant. Fun is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and friends, I want you to point your finger, have a twinkle in your eye, a smile on your face, remember that stands for, and say, F-U, everybody. Remember to add right away, capital N, capital N. So where'd you get that? You got their attention. Now you can tell them all the amazing things that we spoke about and learned, and transformational aspects of living well and doing business on the highest level possible. So before we bring on amazing Jay, and I'm just humbled and honored that he's going to be with us today, I want to urge everybody to do the following. I want you to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. And when you do this, you'll be happier and healthier and wealthier. What are these 2 words? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Therefore, be kind always. I can't think of anyone that keeps inspiring noble deeds. That's what kind stands for. More than the amazing, wonderful, fabulous Jay Abraham. Jay,
I'm here.
please say hello to 413,986 people around the world.
Hello, 418 or 19,000. What a privilege. What a treat. Thank you for allowing me in your lives.
Well, if anybody doesn't know the name Jay Abraham, it's only because you're not reading enough, you're not breathing, you're not involved in not just business, but in the life of articulate business. Because if I started telling you all the things that Jay has done, is doing, and will do, it will take the rest of the show. I'm going to give you 3 highlights, however. He's known as the 22, actually he called it 21.7, the 22 billion-dollar man, in the sense that he is one of the highest paid marketing consultants in the world. And people don't just pay him money because they like being with him, even though he's a good guy to be with. It's because he's results oriented. He knows how to probe, to ask questions, and to bring out the best in everybody. Remember, I told you the reason you're here is not because of Barry Shore, great guy that he is, or even Jay Abraham. It's all about you becoming the best you possible. He's worked with over 10,000 clients in more than 1,000 different industries. And the reason I bring out these statistics is because this is a person who studies problems and looks for solutions. You see, many people find problems. They don't want to find solutions because they get stuck. The beauty of Jay is he's like Archimedes with a fulcrum and a lever. And he said, give me a fulcrum and a lever, I'll move the world. That's who he is. So Jay Abraham, welcome. And let's just jump right in. I'm going to ask you some questions.
I am here.
And we'll just, by the way, if you're watching, you get an extra treat. See, if you're listening, it's wonderful. I urge everybody to watch because you're looking at, he's a gnome. If you don't know what gnome is, Gnome, look it up. He's He's just a great guy. All right, Jay Abraham, thank you so much for being here. Let's just go directly to what it is that people love speaking with you about, because you are the V man. That's what I call you. And I don't mean V for victory, even though that's what you bring about. V is for vision. I would like you to speak about what you call the goal of elevating one's vision and how that relates to business and life.
Okay. So it might be useful to explain what drives my ability and the accidental tourist that I became. If I do that, Barry, then I can contextualize it for you. It's very simple. I got started in life decades ago when I was 18, got married, had 2 kids at 22, and the world didn't care. And the only people that would give me opportunity were very impressive, but a little bit wildly eclectic entrepreneurs who didn't give me a salary. They just gave me a participation in whatever I created, sort of eat what you kill. And they didn't care about time, they cared about result, which was good because I was able to hedge my bet and do many things concurrently because I wanted to really figure out what worked and what didn't. And that's very important when you only eat if you earn. And I was able accidentally, I traveled figuratively amongst 10 or 15 industries through this first process. And I made a discovery that was very profound. And I'll tie it to your question. Pardon my voice today. What I learned, Barry, was that people in one industry, and I'm using business, but I will put it into life, only know how that industry works. They're very monotonic. They're very convention based. They know how their industry sells or markets or produces. But if you look at 10 totally different industries, there's a broad diversion of different ways of doing things, strategy, business model, all the things that I do for a living. But I realized that a concept that is as common as dirt in one industry can have the profound impact of a positive atom bomb if you're the first to add it to an industry where everybody does the same thing the same way. And that was the genesis of my formative beginnings. And then I realized that the more I understood about almost everything and everybody, the more powerful I was, not just in money creation, but in really value creation for others. So now to answer your question, why it's important is the following. No 2 people you ever meet, deal with, work for, work for you, live next to, they're never having the same experience as you. They can't, because they came from different worlds, different experiences, different backgrounds. Even words that you say don't mean the same to them. So the more you appreciate that you can evaluate, examine, understand, appreciate how other people see life, it gives you enormous ethical power to connect at a much more deep level of impact. And impact is really what life is all about. It's all about making a difference in somebody's life. That's what business is. That's what a job is. That's what marriage, romance, sexuality, whatever you want. And I learned that. So the first thing is the more you understand about how life, business, everything works, the more power you have to connect and contribute. That's number one. Number two, I believe that every time, and it seems that alignment with you, anytime any 2 people come together for any reason whatsoever, your job should be to make that person better off because you're in their life, even for a minute, whether it's a smile, whether it's just demonstrating you heard them, whether it's making them feel relevant, significant. And that's also part of the juice that comes from living and being in life. The next is that today, hindsight, insight, foresight alone, based on your limited realities, is not enough to give you the ultimate perspective on whatever you want to do. You want to be a great business owner. You want to be a great team player. You want to be a great leader, great follower, great husband, great wife, great lover, great parent, great friend, great community supporter. you need a context that's far beyond your limited typical growth. We used to do these huge seminars. And at the seminar, I had a process. After the first day, when people were comfortable with my, let's call it nonlinear approach, we would go to the bookstores and we would get 1,000 nonfiction books that were closeouts or magazines on every imaginable subject, both business, sports, hobby, anything. And we would go to each participant, my team would, and we'd figure out what their biggest avocation was. Let's say that I love motorcycles. We would give you a book on macrame, or we'd give you a book on cake decorating, or a magazine. We'd tell you to go out in the lobby for 2 hours, read at least 2 chapters or 2 articles, and find something about it that was relevant or could be adapted to your life or your business, and everybody did. But left to their own, they would never do that. So breakthroughs, if you understand this, breakthroughs in all forms, Barry, come from outside your comfort zone, and usually in business outside your industry. Fiber optics that transformed telecommunication wasn't developed by telecommunication. It was aerospace. It was borrowed. FedEx created a whole new industry by borrowing what's called the hub and spoke check clearing methodology that the Federal Reserve Bank uses to make sure people don't bounce checks, so they get them cleared first thing in the morning. The ballpoint pen or roll-on deodorant, I don't remember which one borrowed from the same. Rogaine was basically pimple. Viagra was heart. The number one baby buggy manufacturer, they do $400 million. Their whole key is the collapsible wheel mechanism from airplanes. So breakthroughs in thinking come from outside your comfort zone. You know,
I want to interrupt for a moment, only because you just delivered to us on this silver platter so many wonderful pieces. I want to unpack just a few of them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because again, we started with the V word, vision.
Yeah.
And you did V squared. You went to value, because that's what Jay Abraham lives for. Jay Abraham is about value. And I want to just emphasize a couple of the points, and that's why I urge people oftentimes, the first time you hear a podcast, don't take notes, don't write anything down, just listen, just feel the experience. We have it recorded for you so you can come back again and then listen and take notes, and then go back the third time, because that's where the breakthrough is. That's where the true gold and platinum and silver and diamonds and everything. So listen to what Jay said. He talked about something called ethical power. He didn't just say power. Ethical power, because that's what Jay Abraham is about. He talked about impact. He talked about becoming a madman. That's who he is. He's mad. Remember what we said in the beginning of the show? MAD stands for make a difference. That's what you do. As you said so eloquently, make any interaction you have with another human being better for both of you. It could be a smile, it could be a hello, a thankful, whatever it is, make it better. And then the ability to have power to connect and contribute. I want to drop a name here just because it's fun. So a lot of people in the world know a person named Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins will be amongst the first to tell you that Jay Abraham is his being, his leprechaun, as it were, that makes the magic happen. So when Jay uses the word breakthrough, that's what Tony talks about. And it comes from outside. It goes, the ability to shift, remember, keep that F in place so the other stuff happens, into your outside your comfort zone. That's where magic happens. And he is magic mushrooms. We're going to do something right now. We're going to go, we have, thank God, sponsors that love the show. And we're going to go to a quick break. Be right back. There's more Jay Abraham on the other side of this break. Don't go away, because this is for you. Be right back.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good in a human being. His name is J. Abraham. Now, by the way, remember we talked about loving acronyms and how they make a difference in one's life? Jay, want an acronym for your name?
Sure.
Joy awakens youth. When you live in joy, that's what keeps you young.
I think you're right. I think I always said, Barry, it's 3 P's: passion, purpose, possibility.
See, I'm loving this because this is a dream come true for me to have Jay Abraham with us on the podcast. Let's talk about, as you mentioned, dozens and 100,000 industries, and some people people oftentimes get into a silo and they can't get out because this is what's always been done, especially if you're successful. You know, when the more success oftentimes people have, the more narrow they get focused because, hey, it's working.
Mm-hmm.
What Jay does is he says, okay, I'm not here to break it. What I'm here to do is to break through. So let's talk about this idea of pattern interruptus, as I call, that's my acronym for PI, P-I. In other words, pi is that which allows you to build anything, right? 3.1444, keep going on, infinite. It's pattern interruptus. When you interrupt the pattern, you get through a breakthrough because you're out of your comfort zone. So let's talk about, if you be so kind, the ability for you, since you do have this breadth of knowledge with a D and this depth of knowledge with a P, what is it that you're finding today in the year 2024 that you either didn't see 40 years ago or that is reminiscent of the same? In other words, are people are always the same? Is business the same?
I think it's much more brutal, and I think people have gotten much more brutalized. You know, what I see today, which is different, the passion amongst entrepreneurs who aren't technical and trying to basically, you know, build it and sell it for $1 billion, the ones that are really here for the duration, I think a lot of them have been beat up. They feel beleaguered. A lot of them aren't masterful at digital marketing and AI, and they've gotten thrust into the vortex where there's an enormous amount of very formidable competitors who are better marketers, or they're better at all kinds of different mechanisms, and they feel very frustrated because their whole life has been invested in this business, and they're trying to figure out, well, how can I keep it going and growing? How can I not just survive but thrive? And part of that is attitudinal, and part of it is paradigmical. I don't know what the right word is, but most of them are following the herd, and they do everything the same way everyone else does it, number one. Number two, they have allowed themselves to become victims instead of victors, and it's really a mindset to start with. There's all kinds of ways to outthink, outmarket, outstrategize, outcontribute, outperform the competition, but it starts with understanding what it's like to be in the shoes of everybody else. And a lot of people today they're playing defense so mercilessly and continuously. I don't think they even slow down enough to say, my strength and my salvation is me appreciating you, me being able to understand you, me being able to connect with you, me being able to contribute to you better than anybody else because you understand it. I think they're just trying so hard to play keep up, catch up, and it's very sad. I also think there is a faction of nouveau entrepreneurs who believe in a diluted sense that they can basically pay a few $1,000s, learn a tactical mechanism, make $1 trillion in their underwear while watching Oprah, a couple hours a week. And I think that's not only ignorance, it's arrogance. And I think that that's sad. But I think that opportunity abounds. It always has, always will. You have to approach it differently. And you have to really be connected, first of all, to your audience. And second, it's very hard to be very successful if you're only selling a one-time transaction. You have to basically devise better ways I guess I'll call it, to reap or realize a greater residual outcome from a relationship, and that requires relationship building. That requires you to do something that, if you've studied my preeminence, we teach how to be seen in life as the most trusted advisor, the only viable solution anybody could turn to for life. And there's many elegant elements in it, Barry, but probably the most important one is you've got to be willing to fall in love, not with your company, not with your industry, not with your product or service, but literally with the client you serve. And you've got to really appreciate the impact your company, your product, your people, your service is making in their lives, their business, when it's being deployed. Even if you're selling ice cream and you're a vendor in the park, when an adult comes at lunchtime from the office and for 15 minutes, you know that you've given them this delicious ice cream and this delectable cone, and for a few minutes in their life, they are able to retreat back to a nostalgic time in their life when they were young and innocent, and you've brought that joy to them and you smile at them. That's profound.
Let's unpack a few things here, because I asked you from the perch of 4 or 5 decades
Yes.
of working with people in business. Notice I didn't say in business, with people in business.
Yes.
And you said today you feel that it's a more brutal environment. I wholeheartedly agree with you. By the same token, it still comes to the issues that you just mentioned: making a connection, falling in love with the people that you serve. And I'm going to use the S word.
Yeah.
Service is the key, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you fall in love, yes.
Yeah. No, maybe to add, and you can build on what I'm going to say. I believe that we are rewarded in our lives, tangibly, intangibly, psychically, emotionally, in direct proportion. It's very, very simple to the quantity, quality, and consistency, Barry, of problems we solve and opportunities we make possible, for others.
May I share a story with you?
Sure.
So you and I are similar age chronologically, 75 here.
Yep.
And I grew up in a place called Boston, Massachusetts, which those around the world look it up, in the Northeast of the United States. And I'm happy to say in the winter times, which I don't live there anymore, we had lots of snow every so often. And as a 9-year-old kid, when it would snow and before the internet, you listen to the radio and say, is school called off today? And you listen for your school, John D. Runkle, no school, yay! So you can do a couple of things. You can go back to sleep, you can play games, or like me, I made 25 cents as allowance. I wanted to make more money. I was an entrepreneur at 9. I got bundled up, long underwear, earmuffs, everything you can imagine, out of the house just, let's say, by 7:30 in the morning, and knocking on doors, and learned so much about interacting with people to shovel snow off driveways and such like that. So I'm telling you one story. One day I came back and left the house at 7:30, came back about 5:20 in the evening. It was already dark. I didn't even stop for lunch. I'm 9 years old. Who cares? I made $55 that day. Remember, 25 cents was my allowance, and this was 1957. That's a lot of money. But here's where it gets great. My father came in and said, come in the kitchen, and he was making me a hot chocolate, not from a mix. He melted chocolate. He was a very creative guy, and he made me this great hot cocoa chocolate. He said, my dear beloved son, he used to like calling me that. How do you spell business? I'm 9, I'm smart. I spelled it Business. He said, that's right. Notice something. The U comes before the I. When you take care of other people, your I will always be taken care of.
It's really interesting.
You never have to worry.
That's
I didn't know what he talked about. It took me 20 years, of course, to internalize it. But the you comes before the I. Like what you're saying, fall in love with the you out there. Service. Yes?
Yes.
That was Dad.
That's amazing. That's profound. Yeah. I mean, I think people, here's what I've learned. I'll give you a fascinating, I'll go to an experience that took basically about 4 decades to realize the profound insight from. But I got started at 18, Barry. I got married first time I mean, I got married at 18, excuse me, but I got 2 kids at 22. I've been married, not recommending, but 3 times, got 7 kids. Because I got started so young, and I was very fortunate or unfortunate to be too successful for my maturity, I've had 3 midlife crises. I had one at 40-ish, one at 50-ish, one at 60. Made a lot of money, didn't change my life. Got a divorce, made a lot of money again, didn't change my life. Had a very sociopathic partner, very traumatic. And I'm going to therapists, and it's the typical 50 minutes, and we're talking, and we're on the precipice of a breakthrough, and they go, "Oh, your time's up. We'll deal with it next week." And it was very perplexing because I felt like my mother used to tell me she would go to these cliffhangers on Saturdays, and they would leave the poor woman tied to the tracks, and you couldn't know until next Saturday whether she died or lived and who was going to save her. And this happened the second time. And the third time, I went and I bought the therapist for a whole week. I just said, "I want to own you for a week." And it was fun in a way. I said, "Look, I have a lot of screwy people who would never go to you. If I can't make it anytime, I'm going to send somebody. Just keep 8 o'clock till 5 open for me. You take your lunch." And I sent a lot of people that really got value, and he just laughed his ass off. But when I had the time, we would go and talk for hours about all kinds of things. And I got one thing out of it that is pretty profound, and I try my hardest to share my paraphrasing of the insight, because it made a tectonic change to my whole worldview, my values, my meaning of life definition. And it takes about 3 minutes. What the guy said was that most people are obsessed with what he called the end product, Barry. They want to have the fastest growing company in business. They want the most stunning wife, the biggest house, the most toys. They want, the most money. And if they're unlucky enough to get it for that reason, and they think the heavens are going to open, the angels are going to trumpet, nirvana is going to befall them with a click of their heels, life is going to become pure and joyous, no problems, no stress, no negativity. It's delusion. It just gets more compounded and more fascinating in the complex way. But he said that what the meaning of life really is all about is the process, this conversation we are having. And it's rather remarkable and wonderful that it gets leveraged through 400,000 people. This is as good as it gets. And it's nice that we're talking here, but I will tell you one more private story, because it underscores this. I used to travel all the time around the world, and I do very intense and very expensive training programs. And I used to go to Asia all the time. I had a protocol, and it was a fun one. I would always get to choose the airline, and I typically would choose either Singapore or Cathay, a real premium one, because I got to go first class, and they had great wines and food, and I would avail myself of it. So the first day, I would have to sit in bed and hydrate and nurture my hangover for that day. But the next day, this was very interesting. I would sit in the lobby for 4 hours and smile at people who typically don't smile until they smiled back. I would go to the elevator for 3 hours and stand at the door looking in, not out, smiling at people until they smiled back. And then I'd get off on every floor. And even though I didn't speak the Asiatic languages, I was in China, I was in Japan, I was in Malaysia, I was in lots of different parts.
Singapore, probably.
Yeah, Singapore. No, they spoke English in Singapore. But I would basically engage the housekeeper or the service people.
Yes.
Until you could see them smile, because somebody, even though they didn't really understand the words, they understood the intention, which is that to show them that they had value. And it was right profound. And I think a lot of us lose track of what's really relevant and what really gives us, ultimate compensation. And money you need for a certain level, but beyond it, very honestly, you can only sleep in one room. You can only drive one car. I've had 8 cars before and lots of houses, and it's very nice, but they really don't. They don't define you, and they don't change your life.
It was a wonderful word you just used. Well, 2 words. One is process, because it's the process, not the event. When people, like you said, they think they're going to get to X, the event.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's the process. The journey is part of the joy.
Yes.
And the word you use, you were sharing with us. You just shared with us some very profoundly personal incidents that are beneficial to people listening. Share, Jay, stands for spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy.
You have a lot of cool acronyms. I like them.
That's what we do. Okay, speaking of acronyms and what we do and what we like, we have sponsors that love the show, and we wouldn't have them on if we didn't vet them and think they're good for you. So we'll be right back with more Jay Abraham after this brief message. Don't go away. Good day, everybody. I have some great, wonderful news for you. Everybody knows that fasting is healthy. Fasting? Healthy? That's right. However, it can be challenging. Not with Prolon. Prolon. Prolon is fasting with food. That's right. Fasting, and you get to eat food. It all starts with Prolon's 5-day program. You get snacks, soups, beverages, and it's all designed to activate your body's fasting state. It's like anything you've ever experienced. I must tell you, if I was going to start a nutrition program, Prolon is exactly what I would use. It's convenient. It's backed by Nobel-winning science, and it works. So right now, Prolon is offering the Joy of Living listeners 10% off their 5-day nutrition program. I urge everybody, go to prolonlife.com/Barry. That's PROLON life.com/Barry for this special offer. 10% off for listeners to the Joy of Living, because you like to live well, and using Prolon will help you live life well. So please go to prolonlife.com, PROLON life.com/Barry for the special offer. Do it now. You will thank me. I love it when you're healthy and happy and making a difference in the world. Best wishes. Bye now. Good day. Beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. You're a good-looking show is looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. His name is Jay Abraham. And if you didn't know him before, then you are now being offered the opportunity for one of the great beings of the world who understands that the business of life is life, and life in business, and to live in the process of growth. See, Jay has a great line that he says, to grow or not to grow? That is the question. Now, GROW, you should know, Jay, is our acronym. We call it GROW, stands for Generating Rays of Wisdom. That's what real growth is about, generating rays of wisdom. One of the things that we urge everybody to do, you want to know everything about Jay Abraham, and there's so much. It's going to be in the show notes. You don't have to take any notes. Just go there. And the other thing is we want everybody to do, share this with 5 people. You want to share with 50 or 100, that's up to you, but at least 5. That way we'll touch over 2 million people around the world. And the key to sharing, spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy is to do that in the sense that Jay just spoke about. Show that you care. There's nothing greater in the world than to communicate, and that's the universal language, a smile. Remember, the smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day, as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. So Jay, we're coming into the end of our process here. I want to ask you a question that we talked about, is business different, people, etc. Human beings are always the same because it's human nature we're dealing with. Have you been able to discern, I know you have, put it a different way, what have you been able to discern maybe 2, maximum 3 markers of success. And again, we're talking success in the broadest sense, not just how much money you earned or how many houses, cars, et cetera, et cetera. Have you been able to discern 2 or 3 markers that can say, I see this person's going to be very successful?
Yeah. I mean, the ones that I think are the most destined, or the ones that are the most impressive, they have hopeless curiosity. They really want to learn as much as they can. And by the way, that was a denominator of Einstein. Einstein had hopeless curiosity. They are fascinated with humanity. They have humanity, but they also have humility. They are not wedded to tradition. They, they have a prejudice towards action, and they are monsters of execution. One of the tragedies that I see in my work, there's not a business owner that's an entrepreneur, an SMB, as you would call it, anywhere from a few 100,000 to 50 million, who at any given point doesn't really wish their business was more successful, their business was more profitable, more prominent. But most of them aren't willing to do the work. Years and years ago, and you'll appreciate this, some of your viewer listeners won't because they're too young. I had Fran Tarkenton speak at my programs. Fran Tarkenton is a legendary football superstar. He's Hall of Fame. He was in 3 Super Bowls. He also was a very prominent television personality. And but in his Super Bowls, they lost all 3 of them. So the first Fran story is he wrote a book saying failure isn't permanent. It's only a temporary situation, doesn't define you. Number 2, and I don't believe there's anything as failure as long as you learn from it and you improve. But secondly, when he spoke, he had a theme that he talked about a lot. It was called wrestling the bear to the ground. And the essence is there is no silver bullet. You might find a temporary advantage, but you got to do the work. And when you stop doing the work, things stop working. And it's true of health. It's true of wealth. It's true of relationship, love, parenting, friendship. You got to basically keep doing the work, and you hit something. I believe you either grow or you die as a human being, as a friend, as a viable contributor. You either, if you understand quantum physics, you either progress or you regress. There's no such thing as
there's no neutral in life. It may be in a car, but not in life.
Yeah, you might like where you're at now, but if you think you're going to stay there, it's delusion. You're going to regress. And there's a really profound friend of mine who has a really great perspective. He says you are either a multiplier or a diminisher. You either make the world and people better, or you suck the oxygen out of, philosophically, the air.
Okay, let's. By the way, people around the world, they're leaning in and they're saying, Barry, I love you anyway. This is great. This is Jay Abraham. So on that last point, this is what Barry Shaw speaks about when I do my personal webinars, and also I tell people it's a digital world, right? Today, the good news about today is it's digital. So people understand it's off and on. I call people, you're either a fountain or a drain.
Mm-hmm. That's a good, same thing.
Yeah. You want to hang around people who are fountains.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're drains. You don't want it. And I love what you're talking about. I call it the 4-letter word ending with K. Work.
Yeah,
Work is.
But I mean, here's something. Just one more additive. If people really understand it, it exhausts a lot more energy and effort to do nothing and procrastinate or equivocate or contemplate than just diving in and doing it.
Yes, movement is the sine qua non of life.
You may or may not remember Robert Ringer. Do you remember him?
Of course.
So, and most of the people that are under about our age wouldn't, but he wrote a book that was predicated on Einstein. He said the name of the book was Action, and the subtitle was Nothing Happens Until Something and Someone Moves.
Right. So I want to go back over the 5 points that you made as the markers of success. Endless curiosity, abounding love for humanity, which makes one humble, by the way, as you mentioned so beautifully, Jay, and I love this. I used to practice this when I went to Hong Kong with the people on the floor in the fancy hotels, standing there and being able to just a small bow to them. And they read that I'm a human. Wow.
Yeah.
The ability to take action. That, for me, is the outstanding marker of a real human being, a winner. And as you said, execution. Hello, great idea. This is wonderful. But
Yeah.
it's the essence. I'm actually loath to say the words I'm about to say. We're coming to a close on our time together. So I have 3 questions for you.
Sure.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number 1, will you come back again?
Of course, invite me. It's my great pleasure. I'm on a mission, as you are, in a crusade to really be a catalyst to show people that, the secret to life is to really relish life in others. It's pretty simple, really.
So you almost answered the next question already. I'm going to rephrase it and ask you again. You ready?
Sure.
Jay Abraham, world famous person. What is your most fervent desire?
It changed as I got older. As I got older and my humanity became evident, my time on this earth became more critically evident to me. I've been on a mission all my life. I got started not to make money, but because I saw so many entrepreneurs who were dedicating their life, their hopes, their dreams, their passion, their economic and psychic fulfillment and enrichment expectations to their business, but were accepting a fraction of the success and impact they could have achieved first and foremost for others, and thus secondly for themselves. And I was on a mission to help them. Today, I'm not as financially hungry as I am conceptually insatiable. I really want to understand my world, my life, others at a deeper level. And I want to try to make a difference while I'm on this earth. Your mortality, if you're 20, 30, you don't think you'll ever die. At my age, and not to be, to be morose, at our age, our runways are shorter. So how we utilize, how we invest, how we nourish, how we nurture, how we seed the rest of our life, if you care deeply about humanity, becomes enormously significant. And I think it's I make sure that every time I engage, I really try to transfer some kind of a meaningful value or impact. And I also try to learn. At my age, I believe that every human being at all times is a dyad. We're a teacher and we're a student, and we're constantly moving back and forth. And when we become just one or the other, if we're just a student, we're selfish. If we're just a teacher, we're arrogant.
On those beautiful words. Number 3 question. May I give you a hug in front of 429,710 people
sure,
around the world?
Go for it.
Let me tell you what HUG stands for. HUG, heartfelt, unlimited giving. Are you ready?
Yeah,
1,
sure.
2, 3.
That's very
You're
true.
listening to The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, and amazing guest, Jay Abraham. And you know that in this shows we've been doing, we talk about the three fundamentals of life, because these three fundamentals will enable you to be happier, healthier, and wealthier. The three fundamentals are, number one, life. Your life has purpose. That's what you've been hearing from Jay throughout the show. Life has purpose. Number two, you lead a purpose-driven life. You go mad. He is a madman. MAD stands for make a difference. The third is to uncover the power in the sequence of everyday words and terms. WWW, what a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. Or as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, a bit of a shift in your perspective, enabling all to excel. And therefore, you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are: choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will enable you on the path of life and your trajectory. Use 4-letter words. Now, of course, the 4-letter words we use to live in positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant world are love, life, hope, free, play, pray, gift, swim, and tell the world to F you. Remember to add right away, capital N, capital N. You get people's attention. Now you can talk to them about the ideas, the transformative ideas we've been discussing today, because they're going to be making you a better person and therefore the world a better place. And I urge everybody, from Jay and Barry, use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, consciously and conscientiously, from now and the rest of your life. And these are: thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. To harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Therefore, be kind always. Keep inspiring noble deeds. And a blessing from Jay Abraham and Barry. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Jay, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.